Good morning to all. Welcome to online classes Samagra Shiksha, Srikakulam district. My name is Anita, working as a physical science CRT in KGBV Ichapuram. Good morning children. In first chapter we have learnt about the various types of forces. Muscular force, normal force, magnetic force, gravitational force, electrostatic force, frictional force, etc. Today we will learn about frictional force in detail. In first chapter we learned about how frictional force is important in our daily lives. Children, see the pictures on the screen. See the first picture. When you go on a bicycle and when you apply brakes, what happens? The bicycle immediately stops moving. That means when you apply brakes on a bicycle, it suddenly stops. How does it work exactly? Why it suddenly stops immediately when you apply brakes? See the second one. Whenever your shoes or slippers were worn out, you want to buy a new one. For that you want to go to the shop and select the one which you like most. Before buying that, what did you observe in that shoe? You simply turned it around and see the back of the shoe called grip. So now, why did you do that? What is the thing that we call grip? What does it really mean? These are all questions we have now. Now see the third picture. When it is cold, we all rub our hands. Then what do you notice? You might feel warmer, right? You might have done that or something very simple. You will probably surely done. If you strike a match from nowhere, there is some heat to create that fire, right? Where did the heat come from? And when you rub your hands, there is also some heat. If you strike a matchstick against the matchbox, there is some heat which causes fire. So all of these actually fall under what we called is nothing but friction. That is, friction always gives off some heat. Let us explore the topic. So, coming to friction, first of all we have to know what is this friction, right? In second lesson, in first chapter, we already learned that friction resists the motion of a body. How it implies will be seen in this lesson. Friction. Friction is an unknown force, but this unknown force named friction also plays an important role in our daily life. Let us learn in detail. For example, see on the screen, if you push a ball, what will happen? It will move forward. That means it will move in the applied direction. In which force we apply, in which direction we will apply the force, in the direction only the ball will move. Is it move continuously? Obviously no. That means after some time the ball will be stopped, right? Why the ball is stopped? What is the reason for not moving forward? Because something that is opposing the motion of the ball in that place. What is that opposing force? See children, in the screen we can clearly see that if you push a ball, it will move in the applied direction. After some time, the object will be stopped. That means here friction is acting on the ball in the opposite direction against to the motion of the ball. This opposing force is called friction. You might understand the definition when coming to relative motion. That means friction always works in the direction opposite to the direction in which the object is moving or trying to move. That is, friction always slows a moving object down. Let us see the definition of friction. Friction is a force which opposes the motion of an object over another surface. The force of friction acts between the object and the surface. You can see the activity here. See, there is a book on the table. If you push a book on the table, the book acquires a certain speed in the direction of push. But the speed of the book gradually decreases and after some time it stops. That means you may observe that the book acquires a certain speed in the direction of push. However, the speed of the book gradually decreases and after some time it stops. We can see the second diagram, that means how much distance the book travelled. Why did the book stop after covering some distance? Is the book moving with uniform speed? Why does the speed of the book change gradually? You know that the book is in non-uniform motion with respect to the surface. That is here the table surface. In the first chapter, we studied that non-uniform motion of a body takes place only when a net force acts on it. Let us examine the forces acting on the book. Along vertical direction, there are two forces acting on the book. First one, weight of the book, which is written as W, denoted as, or the gravitational force which is acting downwards. And the second one is normal force. Already that we learnt about the normal force in the first chapter, right? Normal force is denoted by N, or the reaction force applied by the table upward. In the vertical direction, there is no change in the motion of the book. That means here the net force acting on the book is 0. That is W minus N equal to 0. Or we can simply say it as W equal to N. That is, the weight of the book is equal to the normal force acting on it. We can go through the pictures. Here, see the second picture. That is, imagine that it has a block or something else. Here, we can see the two forces acting in vertical direction. That is, the normal force is upwards and the weight of the body is in downwards. Here you can say that as it is at rest state, both the forces are acting in opposite direction equal. As there is no change in motion of the book along the vertical direction, so the net force acting on the book in the vertical direction is 0. See the first picture. In the horizontal direction, what will happen? The speed of the book is changing continuously. That means its speed is decreasing gradually in the horizontal direction. That means the book also has the force in the opposite direction, which we called as friction. For we can understand that the floor applies a force on the book against its motion. Similarly, the book also applies the same amount of force on the surface in the opposite direction. Here it is that the surface is at rest. Hence, the net force acting in the direction of force applied by the surface on the book. See, along horizontal direction, there are two forces. Already we see in the picture. One is applied force, which is denoted by capital F, and the second one is frictional force, which is denoted by small f. That is, the speed of the book gradually decreases when the book moving in the horizontal direction with respect to the surface. Now, how can we define the frictional force? The force which opposes the relative motion of two surfaces of bodies in contact is called frictional force. Listen once again. The force which opposes the relative motion of two surfaces of bodies in contact is called frictional force. So we can understand what is friction and how it is applied on different types of object. Now let me explain about types of friction. Do types of friction exist? Yes, it exists. Here basically we have four types of friction. Number 1, static friction. Second one, sliding friction. Third one, rolling friction. And fourth one, fluid friction. Let us learn in detail. Children, observe the pictures on the screen. Here a man is trying to push the car, and second one, a man is trying to push a heavy block. See the third one. Here a person is pushing a box, right? So see this. There is a surface, say it as a ground, we can see that. On the ground surface there is a heavy block is placed. See, there is a block, a person is moving, trying to move the block. Now listen carefully. A person is applying some force on the block. Say some force may be denoted as 1 Newton or 2 Newton, whatever it may be. We know that the units of force is Newton, right? In the first lesson we have already learned. So say the force F, 1 Newton is applied. The block doesn't move. Why? Because there is a friction acting in the opposite direction which is equal to the force but opposite to it. That means the same 1 Newton is applied here. That means as I applied 1 Newton, same 1 Newton friction is also applied. So will the box move? No, it doesn't move. Now I increase it to some extent, that means 1 or 2 Newtons. Now I increase it to 2 Newtons. Still the block doesn't move because still the frictional force is also increased to 1.5. Now I increased the force to 3 Newton. No, still the block is not moving because frictional force is also increased proportional to the applied force. So now the frictional force becomes 3 Newtons. So this frictional force what I observed here is acting, the block is at rest. That is, the block is not moving. Now I increased the force to 3.5. And now what happened? Immediately the block starts moving. That is, see the pictures here. A person is trying to push a car. That here the car is not moving because what it happened? Static friction is a friction acted at the body is at rest. When the static friction acts on the body, static friction acts when the body is at rest. See the second one. When a force applied on an object but it does not cause it to move. That means he is applying a lot of force to move the object but it does not moving. That means static friction is the opposing or resisting force between two solid surfaces. We can say specifically what we can say that it is a frictional force which is generated at impending motion of the body. Impending means just started motion. Means we can observe that the block or an object starts move when the force applied on the block is 3.5 Newton. Just imagine. This force only starts the object in motion. So that the friction is existing in that situation. So how can we define this static friction? Now see, what is static friction? Static friction is a friction which comes into play when surfaces of the objects are at rest relative to each other. I already told you static means rest. That is, in static friction, the frictional force resists force that is applied to an object and the object remains at rest until the force of static friction is overcome. That means the force which opposes the relative motion of two surfaces of bodies in contact is called frictional force. When the applied force is more than the frictional force, then the object will move. Because I already told you, frictional force is also increases proportional to the applied force. That means what we are saying, static friction is a force that keeps an object at rest. That means the friction experienced when individuals try to move a stationary object on a surface without actually triggering any relative motion between the body and the surface which it is on. Right? That means we all know that friction is all around us. That means what we can say, static friction is the friction which comes into play when the surfaces of the objects are at rest relative to each other. Let us see some practical applications of static friction in our day-to-day life. See the first one. We are able to stand on the floor due to static friction between our foot and the ground. We are able to hold objects with our hands due to static friction between surfaces of our hands and objects. Next, the vehicles are standby on roads due to static friction. The books on the table do not move due to static friction. Right? That means why the static friction is important? Because static friction is very important for the starting of the system. Because when the static friction is applied, when the applied force is more than the static friction, then the object will move. We already learned that static means rest. We can see the daily examples like papers on a tabletop, a towel hanging on a rack, a bookmark in a book, a car parked on a hill. For example, static friction is the friction between two objects that are not moving relative to each other. This frictional force is what prevents a parked car from sliding down a hill. For example, before an object at rest on a surface can move, it must overcome the force of static friction. Static friction is a responsive force that increases to be equal and opposite to whatever force is exerted up to its maximum limit. Once the force applied exceeds, the object will move. Here you can clearly understand what static friction is. Once again I am saying, in static friction, the frictional force resists force that is applied to an object, and the object remains at rest until the force of static friction is overcome. Now going to the sliding friction. Before going to the sliding friction, let me tell you more clear about the static friction. See the activity here. What is the aim? Understanding the nature of friction and the concept of static friction. For this activity, what the material required for us is toy trolley, small wooden block, inextensible string, weight, hanger, weights, pulley and the table. You can see here. To the children, observe the diagram carefully. See, this is a table and there is a pulley and there is a block which is called toy trolley. The block which is called big block, wider and long block. To that block a string is connected. You can see clearly in the diagram. And the string is moving over the pulley. And this is now connected to a hanger. See in the picture where the weights are added to the hanger. Now what happened? This block is connected to the string and all it is connected to the hanger. Here we are to the hanger we are added some weights. That is, some weight is added to the hanger. Now what happened? The block is not moving. That is, the block is at rest state. So don't you think that no force is applying on the block? No, the force is applied Because the force applied by placing the weights in the hanger, so the force applied in the direction capital F, the force is applied. That means F force is applied, but it is not moving. The reason is frictional force acting between the block and the table, and the frictional force is equal to the applied force. So this friction is static friction. Okay. When I am keeping add-on weights in the hanger, at one moment the block starts moving. So the last force, that means the last weight what we added in the hanger, as soon as the body started its motion, and that moment the friction what is acting is. Children, are you understanding? Again I am saying listening. Listen. Here the force applied in the direction and in the applied direction the object is not moving. The reason is frictional force acting between the block and the table, and that frictional force is equal to the applied force. So this friction is static friction. Okay. Now when I am keeping add-on weights in that hanger, at one moment the block starts moving. So that last force, that means the last weight what we added to the hanger, as soon as the body started its motion, at that moment the friction what is acting is called static friction. Now I placed another block on block 1. Now see the second picture here. That is, now I am placing a small wooden block on the first block. Now what happened to this block? Does it move towards left side or right side? Obviously the answer is it doesn't move, because some more weight is added to the block. So you have to add more weights to the hanger to move the block. Yes, the block 1 start moving. Yes, the block 1 is start moving. But wait, here we have two cases. Children, just observe the diagram only. Later we read the total procedure. Okay. One is block 1 will move with block 2. Right. And the second one, block 1 moves and block 2 falls. These are the two cases what we have to observe here in this diagram. How it is possible? Let me explain here. Whenever the weights added to the hanger, the force is acting on block, and there is equal and opposite forces acts at the contact surfaces of two blocks between the block 1 and the toy trolley, which is called as big block, which is wider and long. They are called action and reaction forces. To the left direction is called action force, that is towards the weight, right? To the opposite direction is called reaction forces. So this reaction force will act on the block 2, which is small, which we kept on the toy trolley. Therefore, when the block is moving towards left, block 2 will move and fall. But what happened here? To avoid that falling, there is another force that acts between block 1 and block 2. The block 1 is nothing but trolley, and the block 2 is small wooden block which we kept on the toy trolley. And that force is one force called friction. So this is the friction which is stopping the block to fall away from the block 1, and this friction is equal and opposite to this force, and then block 2 becomes stable on the block 1. So when you added weights to the pan, the block 1 and block 2 will move continuously, that means move in the forward direction. So friction is helping us here, and now what happens if the friction is not there? Now imagine, suppose in the place of a small wooden block which we kept on the top trolley, in that place now any slippery surface like glass surface is placed on it. What happens? The frictional force is less. Now compare it to the first one. When the block 1 moves, obviously what happens? The block 2 will fall. So even when block 1 and block 2 will combinedly move in the forward direction, you have to understand that between the two surfaces, the frictional force is helping the block 2 not to fall from block 1. This frictional force is called static friction, right? Now let us learn the procedure of this experiment. See, listen what I am reading. Take a small toy trolley and keep a small wooden block on it. Tie an inextensible string to the trolley and pass it over a pulley. And another end of the string is fixed to the weight hanger. You can see it in the diagram and see the parts. Take a small weight and keep it on weight hanger. Now observe the changes in the motions of block and trolley which we already explained. We notice that the trolley with the block moves towards left. The block is at rest with respect to the surface of the trolley, but it is in motion with respect to the surface of the table. As by increasing weights, the surface of the trolley tries to keep the block at rest here with respect to the surface. Thus, the force of friction by the surface of the trolley acts on the block in the direction of motion. At the same time, the block also applies a force on the trolley in opposite direction and tries to move towards the right. We can change the position of the trolley by increasing the weights on the hanger. I already told you, when we keep on increasing the weights, then only we can overcome the frictional force, right? If you increase the weights gradually at a certain limit, what will happen? The blocks comes into motion in the reverse direction. This means that now there exists relative motion between the surface of the trolley and the block, right? Now the second friction is sliding friction. What is sliding friction? Sliding friction is the friction which comes into play when the surface of one object moves relative to the surface of another object. That means sliding friction acts when the body is in motion. For example, suppose a car is moving on the road. The friction acts between the wheels of a car and road. That is what I said. Listen carefully. The friction acts between the wheels of a car and road is called sliding friction. So, sliding itself says that the body is in motion. Sliding friction acts when the body is in motion. Here the sliding friction is less than the static friction. You can see the examples here. We can understand sliding friction as the resistance force created between any two bodies when sliding against each other. That means the force that is required to keep a surface sliding along another surface. See the examples here. A child sliding down through a slide in the park. See the first example. Some children are sliding on the snow. Second, the friction that occurs when solid surface slides over another surface. This type of example we can already see it in a movie Bahubali. In that movie, when ice storm occurs, the hero and heroine sit on the bark of a tree. We all see the movie. So we see that in that movie, on the bark of the tree, they both are sitting. What happened? Simply they are sliding on the snow. That is called sliding friction. See the second point. What is that? Sliding friction acts when the body is in motion, and sliding friction is less than the static friction. Simply we can say that sliding friction is defined as the resistance that is created between any two objects when they are sliding against each other. We can see the examples like pushing an object across a surface and rubbing one's hands together, a car sliding on ice, a car skidding as it turns a corner. Almost any motion when there is contact between an object and a surface, right? This is called sliding friction. Here some examples are there to showing the existence of sliding friction. We are able to write with a pen on the book due to sliding friction. We can skate on the snow due to sliding friction. The vehicles move on the road due to sliding friction. We can cut vegetables due to sliding friction. So, what we are saying, sliding friction is the resistance that is created between any two objects that they are sliding against each other. Sliding friction is always less than the static friction. So, you can understand clearly about the sliding friction. Now, observe the variation of friction. See the table. Here, a person is moving a heavy box. Here, the frictional force also increases accordingly with the increased applied force. So, the box doesn't move. Listen carefully. Push a heavy box which is kept on the floor with a small force to move horizontally. The box doesn't move. Here the person is pushing the box, but the box is not moving because there is a frictional force which is equal and opposite to the applied force on the box. Now gradually increase the applied force. The box still does not move because the frictional force also increases accordingly and thus balances the increased applied force. So what is happening here? Here the frictional force also increases accordingly with the increased applied force. So the box doesn't move. Now see the second one. Here the person is applying more force. That is, we already learned that there is a limit to static friction. If a body is at rest, that means which friction is acting there? There is static friction. We already learned that there is a limit to static friction. When the box will move? When the applied force is more than the limit of the static friction, the box starts to move. Here, as you keep on increasing the applied force, at some point the box starts moving. That is, when the applied force is more than the limit of the static friction, the body starts to move. Here, the heavy box starts moving. Right? Now, you can understand the observing the variation of friction clearly. Now, we will see the factors affecting friction. Friction mainly depends on two factors. The first one, nature of the surfaces in contact, that is, the smoothness or roughness of the surface. And the second one, how hard the surfaces press together. That means there are so many up and downs in the surface. That means irregularities of the surface. Here friction is less on the smooth surface. Okay. Now see the dependence on friction on the nature of two surfaces. What we already told is friction depends on a material's properties such as roughness, that is how clean the surfaces are, and other factors. Now first one, friction depends on the smoothness or roughness of the two surfaces which are in contact with each other. See, when the two surfaces are in contact or smooth, then the friction between them will be small because the interlocking of smooth surface is less. As the degree of roughness of the two surfaces in contact increases, the friction also increases. When the two surfaces in contact are very rough, then the friction between them will be very large because the interlocking of very rough surface is too high. To understand this properly, just listen what I am going to tell you. For example, make an inclined plane using a cardboard with supported bricks. Let mark a point A on any part of the cardboard. Let a pencil cell move down through that point. Now spread a piece of cloth on the cardboard and repeat the same activity. After this, you will observe that the pencil covered larger distance when moved on a cardboard as compared to the piece of the cloth. Now, second one, how hard the surfaces are compressed together. For this, for example, if we are pushing a massive box which is at rest, there will be no doubt more interlocking of the molecular substances between two surfaces and hence by we would apply more static friction in order to move that box. Now if we would try to move a light box, there will be less interlocking of the molecules between the two surfaces, and hence we would apply less static friction to move the force. Now I hope that you clearly understand the factors affecting the friction. Now dependence of friction on the force with which two surfaces are pressed together. Friction is caused by the interlocking of irregularities of the two surfaces which one is placed over another object. If the two surfaces are pressed together, see in that picture, irregularities between the surfaces causes friction. If the two surfaces of objects are pressed together harder by a great force, then the friction will increase. I already told you the example. What? If we are pushing a heavy box which is at rest, what will happen? There will be no doubt that the box doesn't move because there will be more interlocking between the two surfaces. That means we would apply more static friction in order to move the box. For a simple box, that means for a light box, there will be less interlocking of the molecules between the two surfaces. That means less static friction is necessary to apply to move the box. That means the factors that affect friction is first one, the surface on which the object is moved, or the nature of the surface, that is rough surface, smooth surface, or when we pour liquids, etc. The second one, the weight of the object or the amount of force on the surface by the object. See here, a block is placed on the table. Here, two forces act on the wooden block in the horizontal direction. One is force of friction and the second one is applied force. Here you can see that the both forces are acting in opposite directions, right? That is, the force of friction always acts opposite to the direction of applied force. Now let us know the effect of area of contact on frictional force. The frictional force appears to be the, here you can see the pictures, right? One here brick, one is placed horizontally and one is in vertically direction. To that, imagine that as a brick or a wooden block. Now tie a string around that brick and pull the brick by using a spring balance as shown in the figure. Here we use spring balance as a device to measure the applied force. In a spring balance, the spring is stretched by the applied force. Here the change in the length of the spring is proportional to the applied force. So the scale of the spring balance directly gives the applied force in Newton, and in some spring balances the force is given in kilogram weight also. Now pull it to move the brick. Now note down the reading of spring balance when the wooden block just begins to move. In the before picture we already saw that two forces are acting on the block in horizontal direction. What are the two forces? One is the force of friction and the another one is the force applied by us. Here we can see that. Now see the second picture. Now turn the brick upright as shown in the second figure, so that here the area of contact with the floor becomes small as compared to the first picture. Now repeat the same activity and measure the friction using the spring balance. Coming to the topic, the applied force is equal to the maximum limit of the frictional force at that instant when the wooden block just begins to move. But they act in opposite direction. You can note down its value by observing the reading of the spring balance. In this way, we can measure the maximum frictional force offered by the surface. Now, what happened in the second situation? How does the frictional force vary with the change in the area of the contact? In the two cases, the frictional force appears to be the same in both cases, irrespective of area of contact of the surfaces. That is, the frictional force appears to be the same in both cases, irrespective of area of contact of the surfaces. So, we can say that the frictional force is independent of the area of contact. The force of friction is generally independent of the contact area between the two surfaces. This means that even if you have two heavy objects of the same mass, where one is half as long and twice as high as the other one, they still experience the same frictional force when you drag them over the surface. From this activity, what we can say is the frictional force is independent of the area of contact. Here, listen carefully. I am saying once again, the force due to friction is generally independent of the contact area between the two surfaces. This means that even if you have two heavy objects of the same mass, where one is half as long and twice as high as the other one, they still experience the same frictional force. That is, greater contact area means greater frictional force. If the contact area is proportional to the normal force, what will happen? Let us see. Now let us see the effect of normal force on friction. This causes the surfaces to get locked while trying to slide along the surface. So, if we have a greater force along the normal direction, higher is the interlocking between two objects and the force required will be higher. Hence, the frictional force is directly proportional to the normal force. That is, for example, imagine keep a wooden block on the horizontal floor and pull it with the spring balance attached to it and measure the frictional force. Now put another wooden block over the wooden block tied to the spring balance or press it vertically with your hand and then measure the force of friction as we discussed earlier. What will happen? We can understand that when we add a wooden block to the existing wooden block or apply a force by pressing it vertically, the normal force increases and hence we find there is an increase in the frictional force also. So, what we can say that is friction is proportional to the normal force. Hence, we can conclude that the frictional force is directly proportional to the normal force. Okay children, now it's time to complete the class. I hope all you understand the concepts what we discussed in today's class. We will continue the lesson in the next session. Thank you.